Saturday, June 1st. So today, I guess I haven't shown you this yet on camera. This is an LG 49-inch monitor right here that I purchased a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, with the intent of getting rid of my dual 35s and just having one monitor. Makes it better for video editing, I think. Makes it better for video editing, some of the stuff that I do for work as well. It's just the 235s were a bit much. So I opted for a 49, looked at the reviews, looked at a bunch of different options, Samsung, LG, etc. And so I ended up with that one, which is supposed to be more for like work and less for gaming. And I don't really do gaming on the computer. I have consoles, so I guess my kids would call me a console peasant. But I ran into an issue. So I really like the picture, the clarity, the color, all of that is awesome. Does a great job. The problem is the curve isn't enough. So when you buy a curved monitor, the curve is, it's given an R value, so something like 1800R, 1500R, 1000R, those are common R values for a monitor. And so what that R value means is it's actually a radius, right? So basically, if you've got a monitor that is 1500R, then that means if you're 1.5 meters, which would be 1500 millimeters, if you're 1.5 meters, which is, a meter is 3.28 feet, so it's like 4.6 feet. So like here, a 1500R would be the same distance from this edge to the center, like the whole thing would be the same, right? So when you're using a curved display to work all day and you're sitting in front of it at a desk, you tend to want a more aggressive curve. Something like a 1500 is probably the minimum. Ideally, like a 1000 is kind of maybe an ideal number, right? So I bought this LG, which was supposedly designed for work. It's the 49WQ95CW. And I bought this specifically thinking that it would have better clarity for text because it isn't gaming oriented and that it would be better to use all day, right? Well, I didn't realize this because it's not really advertised. If you go to the LG website and you look at that monitor, or if you go to the Amazon listing, which is where I bought it from, and you look at that monitor, it doesn't tell you what the arc is. But I just assumed it would be something normal, 1000, 1200, 1500, maybe even 1800, and all of those would be usable. Ideally, I think 1000 is pretty ideal because, when you're sitting at a desk, you're about 3.5 feet away usually. Like my chest to my monitor is about 3.5 feet, and a 1000 would be 3.28 feet. It's 1 meter, right? But I made an assumption that it was going to have a regular arc because, why wouldn't it? And I didn't really dig into the arc of it or look up the spec. I didn't go out of my way to find it. It wasn't advertised really anywhere, and I just assumed that like all of the other LG monitors that I've seen, like this guy right here, this is a 1000R, so I just assumed it would be something similar. Well, I get the thing and I set it up at my desk, and it turns out it's 3800R, which means 3.8 meters away is where they want you to be. It's like 10.5 feet. So that monitor that I got would be great for like a video wall, or maybe something like a sim rig where you're like far away or something like that. It's not good for like sitting in front of it all day. So it was annoying. I ended up ordering another one. This is the LG 49GR85 DC. Again, I'll put it in the description. And this is a gaming oriented monitor. And I'm opening this up on video for two reasons. Number one, I thought you might find it interesting. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Number two, whenever I buy a display, especially a display, I mean, maybe not like a $200 TCL TV from Best Buy, but like if I buy a reasonable display that's, you know, $800, $1,000, $2,000, something like that, like my TV in my living room, for example, I always do those on camera because I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with broken displays, either personally or at work. And sometimes the box is perfect, the TV looks fine, everything looks good, then you power it on, and you've got a spider web across the screen and you don't even realize it. So in this case, this corner of the box is all torn up, the bottom of it is all crushed. Figured it's a good idea to open it on camera. I think that's always a good idea when you've got something like this. Because I'm not saying that LG would, I don't know, dispute my claim, so to speak, but they might, you know, because it's going to turn into like a shipping claim for them, probably, be my guess. They'll open a claim with United States Postal Service or something, or who knows, maybe they just write it off as like cost of doing business. But anyway, so got that plugged in. Oh, well, that's annoying. So one thing that's different about this monitor than the other one was USB-C. This one, it looks like, is actually DisplayPort. So if we look, okay, it's not broken. This looks good. I don't know where the controls are. So find a cable for it, get this plugged in, and see what makes the most sense for connectivity. So I'm connecting this to my Mac Studio, and the Mac Studio has USB-C and HDMI, but with a lot of these things, it's not just getting it connected, especially when you get like high resolution like this is 5120 by 1440. It's basically the same as having two 24-inch monitors side by side, a little bit bigger, but the same amount of pixels, I guess. So when you get into a high resolution monitor like this that operates at a high refresh rate, I think this one's 240 hertz, which I don't really need 240, 120 would be fine. You start running into issues where like certain ports are capable of certain things and all this other shit. So let's see here. But out of the box, it was in HDMI. So we'll try that first. So just plug this in temporarily, and then we'll have to unwind this USB-C cable because that has to go back with the other monitor. That's a pretty drastic difference, guys. And I don't know if it seems like much on camera, but like the readability at the edges is significantly different with the curve. I think what I'm gonna do is jog my desk out just a touch so that I can slide this back a little bit, just a tiny amount. But let me log in and see what my display settings actually look like. All right, so it sees it as an Ultra Gear Plus. It's got its own color profile. That's something that's really cool about specifically Macs and the LG machines. There's like color profiles that get added to your computer for it. That's doing this thing where it's like flickering. I don't know if it's installing, adjusting, but it keeps like refreshing. So it's at 240 Hertz. It seems like it's having trouble. Let me switch it to 120. Okay, so 120 doesn't seem to have the issue. So HDMI supports 4K at 144 Hertz. Thunderbolt supports 8K at 60 or 6K at 120. This is kind of a weird monitor because it's 2K high. K, let's talk about K. So 1K would be full HD. It's 1920 by 1080. That's a pretty standard, like high definition. That's what HD is, right? The next one that you go to is what they call 2K. 2K is not a very popular size in the TV world, but it actually is in the computer world. It's 2560 by 1440. So 1440 tall, 2560 wide. 4K is 4 times, which 2560 by 1440 equals 2 times the number of pixels that 1920 by 1080 is. So 1920 times 1080 is a little over 2 million pixels, and 2560 by 1440, it's like 3.6 million pixels. So they call that 2K. 4K is exactly 4 1080p monitors. So 1080p is 1920 by 1080. 4K is 3840 by 2160. 3840 is exactly double 1920, and 2160 is exactly double 1080. So this is 1440, which is 2K tall, and it is 5120 wide, which is more than 4K wide. So what that means is I probably need to be using a USB-C to DisplayPort cable. So like this, the monitor comes with DisplayPort, and I get like, this is one of the annoying things about monitors, and especially when you get into this high-end stuff. I'm using the words high-end, but it's not really high-end per se. It's more like bandwidth intensive. This has, you know, whatever that number was, 7 million specks of light that need to be changed 240 times a second at 240 hertz. So what looks like what's happening is when I try to run on HDMI, the HDMI output on the Mac Studio is unable to keep up with it. So what we're going to try doing then is we're going to switch to this cable. This is USB-C on one end, or Thunderbolt. Mac, in Mac it's Thunderbolt 3. Thunderbolt 3 is USB-C. USB-C is not Thunderbolt. This is DisplayPort. So the monitor has a DisplayPort in. Normally in the desktop, like the Windows PC world, you would use a DisplayPort cable when you get to resolutions this high, because HDMI is more bandwidth limited in most cases than, it doesn't have to be. There are revisions of HDMI and DisplayPort that can handle 8K. And this monitor actually weighs less than my two 35s that I had did. Not each, but collectively, right? So my weight on my desk is actually down. So let's do that. Remove this. So now I have input, DisplayPort. All right, so now I'm on DisplayPort. And I've got my same color profile, LG Ultra Gear, and 240 hertz. So that looks good. So it looks like DisplayPort is going to be the way to go on this. So here's what I need to do next. I'm going to move my desk out without wrecking everything. And then I'm going to have to route some cables through my monitor arm. and then kind of wrap this up. And then the old monitor is going to go in the box. I still have the box in the garage because I unboxed it, played with it a little bit, and didn't like it. And then this box I'll probably end up keeping. Generally, I hold on to boxes for things that might have an issue, might need a warranty, especially if it's like a bigger, stranger box like this one is. You know what I mean? Like if I have to send this in to LG for some reason, if I have an issue with it, I don't even have, like, I wouldn't be able to get a box to make it so that that curve was protected. So theirs is going to be important. And I also try to, I try to not open up these accessories when I can avoid it. So I ended up using well, I don't need the HDMI cable, so I can pull that out. So we'll unplug the HDMI cable. And then put this back in the bag. And in boxes like this, I tend to just throw up on a shelf or in my attic and just hang on to them until I have a reasonable trust in the fact that like it works, it's not going back, I'm out of the warranty, you know. Sometimes I'll keep them just if it's something that's like resellable. So like my MacBook, my Mac Mini, my Mac Studio, I always keep those boxes. Because every 2 years or so, I'll go and get a new one, and I'll take the old one and I'll sell it. And when you're selling it on eBay and you put it as like, it's clean, it's wiped, it's ready to go, it's in the box, original accessories, everything comes with it, then you end up getting top dollar for it, which, everything in this world is really only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? So if you can increase the value that somebody's willing to pay for it, I think that's a good thing. Well, I guess I can talk about some of this stuff while I'm doing this. So the monitor arms are uplift, which the desk is uplift as well. So when I bought the desk, I also bought uplift monitor arms. I like them a lot, specifically because of the weight carrying capacity that they have. A lot of arms are weight limited, and when you get into some of these larger curved displays and stuff like that, that becomes a little bit of a problem. And it's not that they won't physically hold the monitor, it's more about the gas shock being able to like keep it level and keep it from drooping. So these are the uplift, I can't remember the name of the arm, but again, I'll throw a link in the description. Won't be an affiliate link, but it's this guy. That's what it looks like. And these can hold up to like 31 pounds, and this monitor is like right at 29. So I'm pretty much at the upper limit of what it can do. But they're adjustable. I like to have it so that my monitor is kind of centered in my desk, like on my face, and then also so that it's even on the two speakers, and just kind of looks good. And then there's tilt adjustment, so there's like a screw that you loosen up here, and then you can adjust the tilt. You go a little bit too far back on the tilt, and then you can always kind of manually bring it down no matter how tight you've got it. But if you're trying to bring it up, I've actually cracked a monitor doing that before, so I'd avoid that if you could. So we're going to put that there, and we'll finalize its position once we get everything straightened out. We'll remove our plastic now that we're done touching it. displays go, I've had a lot of brands over the years. Right now in the house we have a TCL, a Vizio. There's a Samsung behind the camera. I have an LG in the garage. We have a Sony in the living room. My overall preference right now is Sony. So if you're shopping for a TV, you want my advice, buy a Sony. Samsung looks pretty in the store, but their color profiles are really inaccurate out of the box in store mode, and they do that to kind of grab your attention, you know, when they're in the wall of TVs at Best Buy. So once you adjust it, then, you know, any TV adjusted is going to look pretty similar, right? As long as it's a quality TV, you'll be able to get the adjustment within spec and get accurate colors, right? Well, so once it comes down to you have accurate colors, and Sony, LG, and Samsung are all capable of doing that with most of their models, then all that's left is, well, what about the UI? Like the actual functionality of the TV. What's that like? And Samsung and LG both have a really crappy UI. It's slow, it's clunky. LG is WebOS, and Samsung is their own smart thing. But both of them really suck. The Sony is significantly better. All major TV manufacturers have, you know, smart TVs, right? And smart TV means that they have an OS that is capable of doing quote unquote smart things, right? They can stream something from Netflix. They can whatever. They can do those types of things. But in my experience, they don't do it very well. Or they do it very well for a short time. And then as time goes on and the TV gets older, the capabilities of the app or streaming service or whatever it is that you're using grow, and the TV does not, because the manufacturers of the TVs are typically focused on their newer models. And then what ends up happening is over time, your TV gets slower and slower and slower to use, and that's no fun. Or in some cases, you can't run apps at all. Like I have a Vizio Smart TV that's in my guest bedroom that can't run apps well. And some apps it actually can't run at all. Like they just don't launch. Or they throw errors. So I don't buy TVs based on Smart OS. I actually expect to not use the Smart OS. And I use most of my TVs here have Roku connected to them, Roku Express or Roku Ultra, and then some of them have Apple TVs. The one in my office does, the one in the garage does, just because I like to be able to cast, and you can do more stuff with AirPlay on an Apple TV than you can on a Roku. It's not to say that you can't do it on a Roku, you can, it's just not as good. But Apple TVs are a lot more expensive than Rokus, and in most of the rooms that we have, we don't need the capabilities of the Apple TV, so we use the Roku. And Roku's easy to use, and kids have them, like everything is all together in the same UI. All of our TVs look very consistent, room to room to room to room. You go in the living room, it's a Roku. You go in Eva's bedroom, it's a Roku. You go in the spare bedroom, it's a Roku. We have a guest over, so everything's Roku. Very simple. And I used to do Fire, Amazon Fire, but I just found that over time the Fire Sticks would fail, and they weren't expensive, but they would fail. So then ultimately I ended up trying a Roku or two, and those got better. So I guess what I'm saying in this very long-winded conversation is I would much rather have a TV that has good color accuracy and a fast menu system and use it as a gateway to access my inputs, right? So all I want to do is I want to buy a TV, I want it to look good, and I want to be able to plug in a Roku, plug in an Apple TV, plug in the thing that I'm actually going to be using, because the smart TV, in my opinion, is way more of a sales tactic than a practical thing. When I'm buying computerized electronics, phones, computers, those types of things, specifically that are computers that run an operating system that I'm using to do computer functions, I tend to overbuy. You know, I don't need a Mac Studio per se, but it allows me to keep it a little bit longer and not have to worry about obsolescence for longer. Now, when I'm buying a TV, I can't buy a faster processor. I can't buy more RAM. Like, I can't do that, right? And you can't upgrade them in the future. So you kind of end up with whatever they give you. So in my mind, when it comes to a refrigerator, I want a refrigerator, not a smart refrigerator. When it comes to a TV, I want you to give me an input that is capable of transmitting as much bandwidth as the display can do, right? So if the display can do 4K 120 hertz, give me inputs that can support 4K 120 hertz, and let me plug whatever I want to in there. And don't give me all this smart crap where, you know, it works great for a year out of the box and then slowly gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. You know, I don't need that. I just want it to, I want to press the power button. I want it to go right to HDMI 1 where my Roku is plugged in or my whatever is plugged in. And on my Samsung TV, that's not possible. And not only that, because I have both an Apple TV and game systems plugged into it, the main screen shows you one, or like when you first power it on, it takes you to this main media screen. And then that shows the input for the Apple TV. But in order to see the video game systems, I have to like go over to game mode. And then, you know, in game mode, I can see my PlayStation and my Xbox. It's really annoying. Like, I don't need that. Just give me, it has 3 HDMI inputs, give me HDMI 1, 2, and 3. So I ended up using, I have a Sofa Baton remote, which I'm indifferent about. I had Logitech Harmonies everywhere and I love the Harmony. And Logitech stopped making the Harmony that I had, so anyway, I'm trying Sofa Baton. It's okay. It's not great. But one of the cool things about the Sofa Baton is that I can press the power button and I can have it do TV on, turn on my little receiver there, and then also put the TV on HDMI 1 or HDMI 2 or HDMI 3. Like, I have physical buttons for those now, which Samsung doesn't give you out of the box, and neither does LG. LG is a little bit better about it because you can program the number keys to be, like if I press and hold number 1, it goes specifically into an input. But Sony does that really well. Their display is good, but their menu system is such that it will like immediately go into HDMI 1 when you turn it on. So I think that Sony's they have a little bit more processing power out of the box. The UI is a lot faster. The panels are made by LG, and LG makes the best panels, arguably the best panels. But the Samsung or the Sony's also have more processing power out of the box, and therefore, in my opinion, do a better job. So I'm going to start a return on that display. I don't like doing returns. I really don't. I try not to. I try to make educated purchases. But in this case, I looked at 5 different monitors. I chose the one that I thought was best. It arrived and it wasn't. And then it ended up, I returned it for the one that I thought was second best. So I'm returning the LG 49WQ95C-W, and I'm keeping the LG Ultra Gear DQHD curved monitor. All right, so here's the part about this that's kind of cool, because I'm doing a lot of video editing now. Like, that's hours a week I'm spending on video editing. And there's two things that are nice about this display. Number one, it has a color profile that is equal to, okay. So number one, it has an automatic color profile that gets loaded into the Mac when you connect it. So there's a pre-configured profile that Apple has for the LG Ultra Gear Plus, or some of the other LG monitors as well. You can see there's LG Ultrawide, there's, I don't know, there's a bunch of different things. So when I connect this monitor, like there's some Dells in here and stuff like that as well, BenQ. When I connect this monitor, it automatically loads this color profile, which is, it's probably not perfectly calibrated, but it's really close. So it's good enough that I don't need to do like a professional calibration, which is super nice. So when you're editing videos in Premiere, you really care about, you see like I've got all these panes that are opened up, and there's a bunch of different ones. Well, I really care about only a couple of them. So the most important ones are going to be this bottom pane, this bar all the way across the bottom with all the blue and green and colors and stuff. And then this center top one here where you see the Sonic cabinet there, you know, whatever. Look, there's me, right? So over here, these are source videos. So this is like viewing my hard drive. These are all the videos that are on my hard drive, and I can like drag and drop one of them down here. Once I get the video started, I don't really mess around with this much anymore, unless I'm like adding audio tracks or I'm doing effects changes. Like I need to do a horizontal flip on a video like this video, because I'm recording from the front of my iPhone. I'm using like the selfie view. I'm gonna have to do a horizontal flip on it. So some effect stuff is over here, but for the most part, this is just like one-time use at the very beginning of the project. Then when you're actually editing the video, this is your video screens. This is like the output. This is what's going to show up on YouTube, right? So here is, you know, this is YouTube viewer. At the bottom is my timeline. So these are all of the videos that I'm, you know, all the pieces that I'm adding together, all of my transitions, my audio levels, everything here. And when you're editing videos, you kind of zoom in and you're like watching the bar move, and it's, you know, I'm talking and whatever. And then maybe I need to do a cut. I do a cut here, I do a drag, whatever. The more that you can fit on this bar, the easier it is to edit videos. Like this right here is an hour and 5 minutes, that video. Well, actually it's like 59 minutes to the end of the green, 58:43:01. But when you're editing, you tend to be like, you know, you're in like this, where you're looking at a couple minutes at once. And oftentimes I'm like doing cuts and adjustments, and I'm kind of like following myself. Like, so the playback will start here. So, like, this is playing back.
Wash towels, they're called.
And then like,
so like those are all.
So maybe I just want to like cut this piece here. And then maybe I want to modify what I'm saying here, or I want to cut out a section in the middle. Well, what happens is when this bar, this playback bar, gets to the end, it flips you to the next screen and, you know, kind of replaces everything that you're looking at. So it makes it hard when you're trailing yourself to do that, but you need to be zoomed in. You can't just be zoomed out in this screen like this the entire time. You need to be zoomed in order to get the resolution, to grab the right sections of audio, to be able to cut out the right parts. So having more of this on the screen is super helpful. It makes it a lot faster to edit videos and a lot more fluid when you're doing it. Other things that I have on the screen, so like I said, this is my input/effects over here, media browser. So like this is my actual hard drive. This is the project that I'm working on right now, which is like a Cerakote vlog thing. It's really just a vlog, and I added some Cerakote stuff into it because the Cerakote I didn't have enough to do a whole video on. This is my output screen here in the center that's running at full speed, full bit rate. It's 4K technically, 4K 30, I guess this would be, because I recorded a lot of this on the iPhone. Over here, this would be like a modification of a source clip. So let's say I had this clip and I wanted to make like modifications to that. I would open that up over here, and then I could do like transforms or I could, you know, whatever. I can adjust resolutions. I can do different things like that. Again, I'm not doing a ton with that, but it's like occasionally you do. Usually it's a flip or a rotation because like the phone recorded it in portrait mode and I have to do like a -90 or positive 90-degree rotation, those types of things. So it's really just adjusting whatever video section I'm currently working on. Over here, this is my audio levels, which really, I don't need it to be nearly as big as this. It's just, I would rather it up here than down here. And really all that I'm looking at is that my vocals are like between -3 and -6, and that my music is not overbearing, and like that my levels are reasonably flat across the entire video, so it's not blowing out your eardrums in one section and then quiet in another. That's annoying to deal with, right? So you can kind of move these things around and you can see like, okay, well, this is going to be on the right of that, and the source window can shrink down. And then once you get everything where you want it to be, you can kind of save this as a profile. And then even if you screw up all of your windows or whatever, you can always get back to it pretty easily. And then, you know, this is where you're adjusting like your sound or your colors. So like, let's say this looks kind of washed out here. I can go to Lumetri color. I can say I want to do an auto adjustment. You see it kind of like warmed it up there a little bit. And then I can make modifications from there. So I can like adjust the saturation, or I can adjust the exposure. You know, and I have all these different options here. Reset it back to normal. So this is how you would do like color grading or color adjustments. Now, the thing is, like, if you have an inaccurate monitor, or you have a monitor profile that's inaccurate for the monitor that you're using, so like most monitors can be made accurate if you're doing a measurement and you're adjusting the output of the screen to match that. Well, you want this to be true to color for reality, not true to color for what you're seeing on your monitor. So having a calibrated profile where the monitor is actually displaying the true colors that are going to be distributed to the rest of the world is super helpful, so that when somebody, you know, goes and watches it on their TV, or they go and watch it on their iPhone or whatever, they get an accurate representation of color. Because like a MacBook Pro has a calibrated display. So if my display is all washed out because I've got, you know, a crappy display or a crappy profile, if my display is all washed out and I add a bunch of additional warmth to it to try to make it appear that I'm a human, and then I send it out to somebody who's got a calibrated display on their MacBook, it might look like I'm, I don't know, orange, like I'm an Oompa Loompa, you know what I mean? And that's not what I'm looking for. I want it to be accurate, right? Anyway, pretty happy about this. And then just in general, the Mac runs it very well. There's certain things I like about two monitors, there's certain things I like about one. I can turn on HDR as well. HDR is cool, but it appears kind of washed out when you don't have HDR content. It's like if I go to, and you can see how HDR looks on an HDR display. So you can see how HDR looks on an HDR display, but you can see how everything else is washed out because it's SDR content. So there isn't really a good way to upscale yet. So I normally just run my monitor in SDR and not use HDR, and then that's fine. I'm leaving a little bit on the table, but I don't have to bounce back and forth all the time. Just got a couple more packages today. So I got this from Home Depot. I talked about this a little bit in the video for Memorial Day. This is actually still on sale. So if you're a Milwaukee person and you're sleeping on this, you should probably pick one up. But this is two different M12 batteries with a charger. So you get with this the XC5 and the CP2.5. The CP2.5 is my favorite battery. I've talked about that before because it's an HO and it's small profile, and you know, it works just really, really well without making the tools any more bulky than they need to be. The XCs are great for certain things, like I use them for my LED lights sometimes, or you know, certain things that I want to run for a long time, but I don't necessarily have to hold them. And this package is $100 on sale right now, and it's normally like $299. So it's like 200 bucks off. So here we are. I don't need another charger, so I'll throw that in the attic or whatever. But this battery by itself is normally 100 bucks. Sometimes they go on sale for 70. This battery is normally like 150 or 180, and sometimes they go on sale for 99. So this is on sale right now for 100 bucks, but I got both of these for 100. Bunch of eBay stuff listed today. I dropped a tree in my yard. So we have these that tall palm that you can see there. We have 2 of those, but they're getting kind of big, and they're getting to the point where we're worried about there being damage to the house from the roots. So we're just going to drop those 2. They're not our favorite anyway, and plant something else alongside the house. Just a little big for how close to the house they are. And then a couple other things. So check this out. This is an APC, what they would call a PDU, or power distribution unit. It's basically a fancy surge protector. So these go in server racks, and because I work in IT, occasionally we might collapse a server rack down because a lot of people move their servers into our data center. So this actually came out of a server rack that we decommissioned this week. We got 2 of them. There was a 16 outlet and a 24 outlet. Micah has the 24 outlet actually. But it's really cool. It's switched, it's controllable, so you can actually like log into it and control it and turn off individual outlets, which is really neat. Not that you need to do that, like it's overkill, but it does show you the power usage in amps, and it does do some like normal surge protection as well. So those are really nice. If you check out Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, sometimes you can come across them, and they can work really well as like a, here's another APC that I got years ago. This one is not networkable, but it does have the amps on there as well. So occasionally you can come across those for relatively inexpensive on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and they can make a really good power supply for a workbench. They are not, they are expensive new. That black one there is probably $750. The 24 outlet that Micah got is probably $1,000. So, buying them outright is probably overkill. They're not really designed for a shop environment. They're designed for a server rack. But they're way better than like the power strips you would buy from Harbor Freight or Home Depot, and they definitely have more capabilities. So I mentioned in a different video, I received a care package from Ivan LaCroix. So I got the app adhesion promoter polish. I got Hydro, C6 Hydro. I also got the new, this was just actually released yesterday, Restore and Protect came as well. And I got a rotary jeweling pad, a 5 1/4 rotary jeweling pad. And I was trying to get a hold of a rotary, and I asked Ivan, when they come back in stock, and he said, well, they're on a slow boat from China, so I don't know when we'll get them. But he did tell me that there are a number of distributors that have them in stock. So I got this from Car Supplies Warehouse. This is the DIY detail rotary. So the items on the shelf over there, I received for free, just to do a review. Again, no strings attached. I've bought and reviewed their products before, so every other DIY detail product that I've done on my channel was something that I purchased with my own money. And Ivan, after my last video, sent me a message on Instagram and just said, hey, if you need anything, let me know. So like I said, I was asking him about the inventory. So here's the rotary. And he said, hey, have I ever sent you anything? I said, no, I've always bought my own stuff, and I don't mind continuing to do that. And he said, well, I'll send you C6. So got a nice package, just like $400 worth of stuff. So I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. That's awesome. And then I just picked up the DIY detail rotary because I've never used a rotary before. So wanted to play around with it, see how it works. So we'll be testing this out with gold standard polish and seeing how it works. Morning, guys. So today it's Saturday, June 8th. Got a lot of stuff to do this weekend. I'm going to be working tomorrow for my actual job. It's pretty rare that I work on weekends. I have an on-call shift. It's probably like 4 weekends a year I'm on call. But it's like as an escalation supervisor, so I tend to not get a lot of stuff to do. Like if I get a call, it's kind of surprising because there are 2 or 3 other people that are before me, and they need to have significant problems before it would kind of rise up to me, just the way our company's structured. So it's abnormal for me to have to work weekends, but I'm going to have to this one because I have a customer who had a last minute project, so I'm helping them out. So because of that, my weekend is only one day this week, which kind of sucks, but it happens, right? So it's about 9 a.m. It's kind of rainy outside this morning so far, and we're out on the coast in kind of the center of California, so that's honestly a fairly normal thing for us this time of year. We're pretty cool out here, and the valley, like Bakersfield and Fresno, those areas, the inland of us, are pretty warm. So that leads to like these hot and cold pressure zones meeting each other. I'm not a meteorologist, but basically we get fog every morning and a lot of I don't know, just kind of like drizzle, if that makes sense. It's not really like, I'll show you. If you look outside, you'll see what I mean. So like, you see how the ground's dry, but there's like runoff from my my gutters and stuff. Like water collects, pools, whatever, but it dries pretty quick. The Honda's wet out there, but it's barely kind of drizzling, but not really. It's more like condensing on you, like you're in the middle of a cloud. So all that to say, I'm gonna rinseless wash the Mercedes today, or waterless wash, I guess would be the waterless wash. I'm using Hero. I really like Hero. I've been using it quite a bit lately. It's kind of getting me into waterless, honestly. I'm finding it really convenient. Like, it used to be that I would get up on a weekend and I'd have to like go out there first thing and wash a car or two before like the sun started coming up and everything. But now I can kind of just relax. And, if it's a weeknight and it's, 7 or 8 o'clock and I'm done working for the day and I'm like, well, I've got a little bit of time. I can just come out here and bang a car out in 15 minutes. Kind of be good to go. So that's cool. I'm kind of embracing waterless life. Now, that being said, I'm not going to switch to it full time or anything like that. I'd still prefer to do a water wash. I don't know. I like the foam cannon. I like the pressure washer. I have a great user experience with that. It's not like it's a pain in the butt for me to get the stuff out because I've got the hose reel and everything's wall mounted and all of that stuff. But this is a really nice option, especially for something like this Mercedes, which honestly, like, the last time we got rain, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. This car really doesn't get driven in the rain as much as we can avoid it anyway. She comes outside and it's raining. Most days I work from home. She'll just jump in the Honda. She'll take that, drive that around in the rain. So, and it's really twofold. Number one, we're going to keep this car longer term. We want it to stay nicer longer. That's a lease. And at the end of the lease, it's going to get returned. And the lease people don't care nearly as much as we do about how nice it looks. And then number two, this is kind of a small car especially compared to a lot of the vehicles on the road. We've got a lot of Teslas, a lot of trucks, a lot of heavier vehicles around and stuff like that. And it sounds silly, but we get no weather here. So a lot of people can't drive, or especially can't drive well. And the world is full of people telling other people that they can't drive. I get that. But I guess the way to describe it is I grew up in in Pennsylvania, in a place where we had snow a decent portion of the year and rough conditions that were actually difficult to drive in. And, you know, I see more accidents in rainstorms in California than I ever did in snow in Pennsylvania, which is significantly harder to drive in. And I think that has a lot to do with our inspection policies on cars, actually. California has smog checks, which I'm sure everybody's heard about. If you're not from California, that's basically where you take your car and you go to a smog station, which is just like an inspection station, a gas station, you know, something like that that does smog work. And they plug it into an OBD2, a computer with an OBD2 cable on it, and that cable connects to and reads your ECM. It's looking to make sure that all of your sensors are active and everything is cleared and all of your IM monitors are set. So like, you know, your O2 sensor is actually reading stuff, and then it compares it against known values for your vehicle. That's a new thing that they just recently added, where there's actually like a database of vehicles that it's comparing against. And it like revs up the engine for a certain length of time, and they use like a mirror and they look and see is there, you know, black or white coming out of your exhaust pipe, like you're burning coolant or burning oil, something like that. You know, so they're looking to make sure that your vehicle is smog compliant. And in general, it's not a big deal. It's about a $50 thing to get done. And the way that we do it, or the frequency, if you've got an older car, it's every other year. Within 90 days of a car changing hands. So like if I sell you a car, you would have to do it within 90 days. The exception to that is if it's a brand new car. If you buy a car and the car is less than 4 years old, you don't have to do it until year 8. And if you buy a car and it's more than 4 years old, you have to do it when you take delivery, and then not again until year 8. And I'm fairly certain that that rule applies only for cars that have an origin here. So they get done like if you buy a brand new car, you know, you don't have to do it, but if you buy a car from out of state, you do once until it hits 8 years. So like, for example, this is a 2020. We've never done a smog on it, and it's 2024. That car is a 2016. I did a smog when I got it. My next smog is due at year 8, which is actually next year, 2025. So, where I'm going with this is I got off on a tangent talking about smog because I thought maybe you weren't experienced with it, but in Pennsylvania, a lot of states, or in Pennsylvania and a lot of other states, they also have something called a vehicle safety inspection. In California, we don't have that. And I honestly think that we should. I think every state should. And that inspection was more of a, you know, they go around and they like jiggle all the wheels and see, you know, do you have any bad ball joints, tie rod ends, control arms, bushings, things like that. Do you have excessive wear on your tires? Are your tires below, you know, 230 seconds is the legal limit. I think that they failed in Pennsylvania at 430 seconds. because they want you to be able to last a year. And they would look at your brakes and make sure that you still had brake pad material available and, kind of all of that stuff. And, it's when I was growing up and I'm a kid and I had, an old Honda Prelude. My first car was a 92 Honda Prelude SI. I didn't love the inspections because it was like, well, you take your car in and it's like, well, you need tires, you need brakes, you need this, you need that. And as long as your mechanic is honest, you tended to be able to have a reasonable conversation with them and say like, look, I can, I've got $500 that I can spend on maintenance right now. What should I do now? What can I hold off on? And they'd say, well, you got to do brakes. You need brakes. You can probably wait a couple months on tires, but they're not going to last a year, whatever. So in California, it's not uncommon to see people with bald tires, with crappy brakes, with bad wheel bearings that are squealing as they're driving down the road and stuff like that. Like, I never saw a wheel and tire assembly on a wheel bearing leave a car on the like be physically separated from a car and the car on the side of the road until I lived here. And yeah, I've only lived in 2 states. I've been to 32, I think, something like that. 31, 32, I forget. But all this to say, we don't have vehicle safety inspections, and a lot of our roads are highways, and our highways are uniquely stupid in that they have a very low speed limit for as nice and as straight as they are. There's like 2 major highways in California that go north-south. The 101, which is on the coast, and the 5, which is inland. If the 101 was in Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, basically any of the surrounding states, Arizona, it would have a higher speed limit than it does here. But here, it has a 65 mile an hour speed limit. And California does this other incredibly stupid thing where they say that trucks that are hauling trailers have a 55 mile an hour speed limit. So they're going 10 miles an hour slower than all of the cars. And then everybody speeds and they don't really do enforcement until you're more than 10 over. So what you end up with is, cars that are going 75 to 78 and tractor trailers that are going somewhere between 55 and 65, depending on whether or not they have, GPS and if the driver or the company has a problem with people speeding. Some companies do. They won't allow trucks to speed at all. Some have, it's up to the driver to decide. So we end up with these like natural traffic flow impediments, and every time we get weather, you've got a bunch of people out there going 75, 78 miles an hour in the rain on bald tires. And the highway's like right there. The entrance to it is a couple minutes from my house. So I drive, my office is like 25 miles away. It's less than a 30-minute drive on a normal day. On a rainy day, there's 3 accidents between here and my office. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's like the average number. So, all this to say, we don't drive the cars that we care about much in the rain. The other piece is you get a lot of rock chips in the rain here, because we have a lot of dump trucks, sand, rocks, gravel, that kind of stuff that are traveling up and down the coast. And those, you know, even when they're covered, they still drop a little bit on the highway. And for whatever reason, like, another thing, when I was in Pennsylvania, a lot of cars had mud flaps from the factory, just as like a normal thing. I think over time, some brands and manufacturers have done away with just providing them, and they became kind of an accessory. So a lot of vehicles here don't have them. My Honda does, but the Mini doesn't. I added them to the front of that, but not the rear, you know, so there's a lot of like bro dozers going down the road that have big wide mud tires and stuff like that on them, and no mud flaps, you know, because they're mall queens or whatever. And it's not even them. It's just, you know, it's all cars pretty much. A Tesla can throw a rock at you too. They all still don't have mud flaps. So it doesn't get driven in the rain, which means, in my opinion, it's like a great candidate for a waterless wash because it's never really that dirty, and I wash it once a week. So this is my process lately. I'm using Hero 256 to 1 in the bucket over there. So I put about 2.5 ounces of Hero, 5 gallons of water. Use the Legacy sponge or the Rag Company Ultra sponge. They're pretty similar. I actually like the Legacy sponge better, which is a DIY detail product, because one side is red and one side is black. So it allows you to kind of like keep track of when you flip the sponge and how much panel you're doing with each side of it. It was a good idea that they came up with. Or maybe they're not the ones that came up with it, but they're the first that I've used that's that way. So I pre-spray with the Solo sprayer, which you watched me do. Then when I'm done with that, I use the Legacy sponge, go over all the panels. Depending on how dirty they are, that determines how many times I dunk in the bucket. So I used about half of the 5 gallons that was in there. And then dry it off with a gauntlet, go over it with OG drying aid, and then Rag Company FTW towel. So I'm 21 minutes into this video and the car's done. Put a little bit of tire dressing on it. Then I didn't have to move it out. I didn't have to get out my pressure washer. I didn't have to fill up a foam cannon. I should have filled up my Solo sprayer and didn't. But normally I would just fill that up out of the bucket. It was about half full when I started, so I figured I had enough in there, and I was close. I was a little under. I wish I had a little bit more in the Solo sprayer. Do some drying or tire dressing, Rag Company curveball brush, and this is OG tire dressing. So let's talk about other things that I'm working on. So this video is actually a beta test for iPhone 15 Pro. My work provides me a cell phone as part of my job because I use it all day. And I had an iPhone 13 for about the last year and a half, and I started running into little problems here and there where, like, I'd be on a call and it would just drop service from 5 bars down to 0, drop my call, and then I'd have to reboot the phone usually to get it to bring service back. Like turning off carrier and turning it back on, or going into airplane mode and coming back out, they didn't work. And it was, even if I was on Wi-Fi, it would also drop the call, which is kind of weird because it's almost like it stopped being able to read the eSIM or something. I don't know exactly what was going on, but because of the amount of time that I spend on the phone and the percentage of my time that I need to be available to take calls, my work doesn't really mess around with my phone. Like we have people that them having a cell phone is kind of like, we do it because per California law, you can't expect somebody to use their personal cell phone for work. But they don't really need a cell phone. They use it occasionally, like when they're on call or something like that. But generally, they don't need a company cell phone. Me, on the other hand, I have to use it all day, every day. So what ends up happening is when I have problems with my cell phone, I get a new cell phone, and then mine goes and gets like RMA'd or repaired or e-wasted, depending on the age of it. But if it gets RMA'd or repaired, then it gets given to one of the employees that, doesn't care about a phone, or the next new hire. So I had an iPhone 13. I've had it for about a year and a half. Had a couple little issues with it. It's in perfect condition though. Like it's been in a quad lock case since the beginning. It has a screen protector on it, and there isn't a scratch on the darn thing. Like it's in really, really good shape. I take good care of my equipment. But work was buying me a new phone, and I got them to upgrade me to an iPhone 15 Pro. So I'm now recording the vlogs. I kind of have two setups. Like if I'm doing a video that is, a specific product, a specific task, a specific whatever, then I set up the camera on the tripod, my Panasonic Lumix. It's over there in the corner. It's an S5X2 or S52X. It's a 6K camera. I shoot in 4K and then edit and post in 4K as well. I really don't care about the fact that it's a 6K camera, but it just means that it can actually do 4K without like overheating and having problems, which is nice. I use that when I'm doing like a video on a polisher or a video on a product, like my White Diamond series. I use this when I'm doing the vlogs, which I think I'm going to start doing more of because I thought that they would be boring, but it seems like people really like them, or at least some people really like them, and I didn't post it and lose a bunch of subscribers. And the watch time is higher on those on average than some of my other videos. They're obviously a lot longer than some of my other videos too, but I figure I'll do one of these, one or two a month, something along those lines, and just stick them in there. And when I'm recording the vlogs, I'm using it's a gimbal. It's a DJI Osmo Mobile SE, which is like it's a $100 gimbal. I'm telling you, if you want to shoot a vlog, go to Best Buy right now and buy one of these things. I promise you won't regret it, or get one on Amazon. They're 99 bucks. I'll put a link in the description to exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, there are two things that you need. Number one is the gimbal. And the gimbal does this thing where like it follows me. You see it like moving around. And obviously like I can make you dizzy by continuously moving, but it's pretty smooth. If I'm walking, you can see that it's following me and doing what it needs to do. So that's the gimbal, and my iPhone is currently sitting on that, and it's just like a regular cradle that like clamps around the phone, right? Very basic thing. The other thing is this microphone. And the microphone is truly optional. This is a DJI mic. I guess it's called a mic transmitter, mic TX, but this is the DJI mic. Now, this is designed to be used where you're going to like put it up here, and you're gonna talk through like this little hole in the side of it. Well, this grate here on the front, kind of. So like you'll see a lot of content creators, they'll have like this up here, and I honestly kind of think that looks, I don't know. I don't love how that looks. Let's just say that. So I have a a lavalier plugged into it, which is, it's the same one that I use for my other camera. But this is $100, that's $100, and these two things together work really, really well, to the point that you're like borderline needing a camera like the one behind me. There are some annoying things because you're tying up your cell phone for this. So like, I can't use my cell phone to do other things while I'm recording, which is kind of annoying. But it's definitely workable and it works very well. And the mic is really optional. If you're going to be holding it like at arm's length all day and walking around doing a vlog like that, like a travel vlog, or you're at like a show, car show, something like that, and you want to do vlogging, you don't need the mic, truly. But with me, if I want to like walk over here and still be able to talk and have you hear me and have it be a reasonable volume and not have to like clean it all up in post, then having this microphone makes it really consistent to talk at a normal volume and have everybody be able to hear me. So, I'm testing out the iPhone 15. I didn't really have problems with this on the 13, except if I recorded 4K 60, it would yell at me after a while and the app would get like really slow and it felt like it was trying to process a lot of video and like bogging itself down. It was a 128 gig phone, and I have like 70 gigs worth of other stuff between like apps and emails and music, podcasts, Spotify, videos or photos that are in my photo library. There's probably around 60, 70 gigs in total. That's kind of naturally used on my phone, just the way that I normally run it. I could probably reduce that if I really wanted to, but I don't. So my old phone was a 128 gig. This new one is a 256, which means that I've got like, I don't know, 180, 190 gigs free right now, something like that, because obviously like I didn't immediately go to use 70 gigs either. It kind of goes up over time. So today my goal is to clean this. I'm going to clean the gray Mini. I've got a couple new products that I want to play with. I want to record a video on the Koshkemi Blue line because I did an original like unboxing video, which will be out tomorrow. Today's the 8th, tomorrow's the 9th. So Sunday the 9th, the unboxing video for Koshkemi will be out. And I want to record a wash with their products, which I've already done one. So that'll be wheel cleaner, that'll be their shampoo, that'll be their bug remover, all of that stuff. And the two specifically that make that video difficult to do during the week are the wheel cleaner and the bug remover, because they're both acidic or basic. Like they're both far away from neutral products. Let's just say that. So because of that, you can't really apply them in direct sunlight and you can't really let them dwell in direct sunlight. So that makes it a little bit more challenging for me personally with my schedule and me being a YouTuber on the side while I have a normal job that I do during the week. So I want to do a video of those today, record all of that. And I've already used the products. I know how they work. They work pretty well, honestly. They're very simple line, very basic, but it's complete and works well. With the exception of like, I don't know. There's no drying aid officially, but there is a quick detailer, which I'm going to play around with that and see how it works as a drying aid. It doesn't say that it can be used as a drying aid. Whatever, it's Koshkemi All-Round Quick Detailer, which shows to be used on the exterior of the car besides the tires and wheels. And then a couple other things. I have a rotary that just came from DIY Detail. That's here. I opened up the box, but haven't actually like pulled it out yet. So I'm gonna unbox that on camera. I got a jump pack from Topton the other day. It's interesting. I talked about that on the video. I've got a couple content creators, or I've got a couple vendors reaching out to me about testing products all of a sudden. So the Last Fit Air, which I did, which is actually really cool. I talked about that on a separate video. If you haven't watched it and you're looking for a portable compressor, check that one out. And then this Ulix, it's like a jump pack / compressor combination kit. That thing was pretty neat as well. Now Topton sent me just a giant jump pack that does 2000 amps of peak current. It's a 16,000 mAh battery, 60 watt hours, which is pretty big. It's supposed to be able to start just about anything. So I'm gonna play around with this. It came yesterday and I got it charged up here last night. It's USB-C. I reached out to the owner of Phoenix EOD, or I got actually introduced to him by somebody who follows me on the videos and messaged me on Instagram. And Phoenix EOD sent me one of everything. So I've got Typhoon, Pellus, Apex, Kraken, Titan, Hydra, Papa Cut, Fabulous, Glossum, Immortal, the Furies, and Chronos were all sent to me. So I have a whole line of Phoenix EOD products to try out. So I'm going to add those to the list, right? You've heard this before if you watch my videos, but I already have Renew and Monkey Head to try out, as well as Purist from last month's glove box. Now, I actually just got this month's glove box. Let me grab that. I will say I'm slightly bummed by this month's glove box. Just gonna be honest. It's G-Technic, which I like G-Technic products, but they sent panel wipe, which I have, and there's no way for them to know that I have panel wipe, and that's fine. They sent ceramic sealant, which is a product that I've never used in a small tester like this. There's a sticker in here, a G-Technic sticker, a single microfiber towel, and then they sent EXO, but it's EXO V4. So EXO V5 has been out for a year at this point. Something along those lines. Like the Green Mini has EXO V5, and I want to say that I did that in like July. I don't know, something like that. I'd have to look and see when I did it, but I've had EXO V5 in hand for every bit of 8 months, maybe a year. So it's like they're trying to pawn off their remaining stock of EXO V4, it feels. And I get it, glove box is like $40. EXO is like $60. So like, it's a good value. And it's a good, actually, EXO is a good product. I guess I'm slightly annoyed because I don't really have a car to use it on, and it's going to go bad before I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the Secondhand Detailing Facebook group, and I'm going to post some things for sale. So I'm going to sell off, I've got a CSL, I've got an EXO V5, I've got an EXO V4. Actually, I have two EXO V4s now that are all unopened, completely unopened, not touched. I also have a bunch of DIY detail products, and I have a bunch of white diamond products, and I'm going to put them on Secondhand Detailing and just blow them out. All the DIY detail stuff I bought, the white diamond stuff I paid for shipping on, but I didn't buy the products. I don't know if that's disingenuous or not. I'll have to think about that. Making money on the product that was sent to me for free. I might just keep the white diamond stuff and use it up. What I'm running into, and it's a good product to have, a good problem to have. I'm not complaining about it, but what I'm running into is I have a ton of products here, ton. And I only have 4 cars, and they're all generally clean, and we don't drive a lot. So therefore, like, I'm having difficulty going through all these products. I have gallons of stuff sitting on the shelf over there that I bought during COVID, like Brake Buster and GSF and all of those things. I haven't used GSF to wash a car in probably a year at this point. Not that I don't like GSF, I love GSF, but I've been testing all these other shampoos, and it's like I haven't used GSF in a while. I've been testing all these other wheel cleaners. I haven't used Brake Buster in a while. You know, I've been testing all these other products, and I have a ton sitting on the shelf. So I need some more space. I need to lighten up the amount of stuff that I have. I'm sitting here today thinking about getting a lev rack so that I have more storage for chemicals, and it's like, why am I storing chemicals that I'm never going to use, especially if I'm going to continue like Phoenix EOD just sent me one of everything, and I'm super excited to try them all. And there might be one or two products here that are like game changers that end up staying in my fleet long term, but I'm still going to be trying new products. So even if I really, really, really like something, it's not likely that I will use up all of these, and especially like the polishes and compounds and stuff, a 16-ounce compound lasts a long time. And if you're a professional detailer and you're doing polishing of cars all the time, well then, obviously you'll go through it eventually. But I have, I don't know, 20 different compounds and polishes at this point. I'm going to start blowing out some stuff on secondhand detailing and just trying to move some of these products and giving people the opportunity to try some of these lines for themselves. They'll be heavily discounted. If you're interested in something, it's going to be a minute before I get that done. So shoot me an email, Jeff at Improved Garage. It's improved-garage.com. I'll put that down below. And I'll work with you on whatever. And especially like, you see that I'm working on Coach Chemi Blue right now. Well, guess what? They're going to be next. It's going to be Monkey Head or Renew or Purist or something along those lines. So, if you have something that you're interested in, shoot me a message. And when I'm done testing it, I can send it out. I could even test it and do the videos now, send it to you, and then release the videos later when I'm ready to. So there's opportunity if you want to buy stuff. I've had a couple people that are asking about shirts. I have a website. I built the website in GoDaddy using the GoDaddy website builder to test it out and see if it could be sufficient, because I didn't really quote unquote want a store, which is like what Shopify is, and that's what most people tend to be using at this point. All that to say, I'm probably going to end up going to Shopify. So if you go to improved-garage.com, there is a website that is there. There are shirts that are on there. You can buy a shirt and I will ship it to you. I have some inventory of shirts. It actually helps me out for you to buy a shirt, because that means that I can buy more shirts, because when I buy shirts, I have to buy them in quantities of 36. I'm not going to ruin 36 shirts in any short length of time. So when I buy the shirts, I buy them in a variety of sizes. I buy 36, two colors, so I get 18 and 18. And then I just kind of pick the mix of sizes that I want. When I'm out of a size, I'm out of a size. Unfortunately, I can't just order like a half a dozen extra larges. I have to get 18 shirts in a particular color at a time. Those shirts would be like the LA Apparel, we call them the OG shirts. Like they are the same blank and the same provider that makes the shirts for OG. I'm using the same screen printer that they use. They're great quality shirts. They fit very well. I like them a lot. I wear them all the time. If you want a one-off shirt in a random color, I also have shirts on TeePublic, and TeePublic is less expensive, but you get it's like a Gildan blank. It's not great. It's fine. It's not bad, but it's not great. And the screen printing doesn't last as long. So the ones that I get from Hidden Skins, which is the company that does the quote-unquote OG shirts for me, those wear incredibly well. They last a long time. The screen printing doesn't fade. The ones from TeePublic, they don't last forever. So a lot of my original shirts, you see me wear like a blue or a brown or a black, the ones that have the color prints on them and stuff, those were all from TeePublic, and I've had problems with a lot of them failing over time. Now that being said, I'm wearing these shirts like 3 or 4 days a week. So, it's normal for me to get up and put on an Improved Garage shirt, realistically, probably on average 4 days a week. Not the same shirt, obviously, but like my shirts are getting worn and washed a lot more often than some random person who is buying it because they want to support me or like the brand or like the channel or whatever it may be. So if you're going to buy a shirt and you're going to wear it once a month, then it'll last you a long time too. So I will put a link to TeePublic in there as well. You can buy them with black or white screen printing, and there's a variety of different colors. My recommendation would be that you buy the, I have a hoodie, a shirt, and in both black and white. So I'll put a link in the description to my quote-unquote store. When you go to TeePublic, they have a classic t-shirt, and then they have a tri-blend t-shirt, and they have an eco t-shirt. They also have a boxy t-shirt. So I haven't bought the boxy t-shirt. I did have a classic t-shirt. I didn't love it. The tri-blend ones are nicer. They're like a vintage, like a heather color they would call it. So like it's like, you know, green with like specks of black and white or whatever in it. So it's a heather finish. They have that in red, green, navy, blue, and black. You have seen me wear those shirts. They're very nice. I do have an eco shirt as well, recycled and organic. I just liked the color. They now have an active t-shirt, which I'm guessing is more like the stretchy like gym material, which I've never tried. And they have a premium t-shirt that's new that I've also never tried. So I guess what I'm saying is I know the tri-blend t-shirts are nice. The other ones I'm not so sure. They're like 29 bucks on here. I make like 10%. So I'll get like a $3 kickback if you buy a shirt on here. So if you want a shirt, you can buy one from TeePublic. You can buy one from me directly. Buying the ones from me directly helps me more. I make less money on them, but it allows me to move through shirts, which allows me to buy more shirts. So it is great, but I only have red and green with black screen printing. Those were the first two colors that I bought, 18 of each. I would like to place another order this year, and I would like to get 2 more colors, and I would like to, you know, move more product, but I need to sell through like half of the box that I have that I'm sitting on right now in order to do that. I can also do hats. I have Richardson snapbacks, the Richardson 112s. I've worn them on a lot of videos. I also have melon hats. The Richardsons are like 30, 35 bucks. If you want one of those, Jeff at Improved Garage, shoot me a message. I'll send you a picture of all the colors that I have and you can pick the one that you want. Those take me a while. I can make them one-off though. Because basically what happens is I order blanks from this company. It's like onlyshirts.com or something like that, which they sell hats too. But anyway, I buy blanks from this company and then I have a local embroiderer here who embroiders them for me. And she'll do just one if I want to. So a hat cost me like $8 and the embroidery cost me $15. It depends on the color. Some hat blanks are more, some are less, but realistically it's like a little under 30 bucks is my cost. So I would just, you know, do one of those for you at that price. If I happen to have the one that you want sitting on the shelf, I have a couple in there, then obviously I can move it faster and get it to you quicker. I personally wear melon hats all the time now. You see those on camera where I'm wearing them all the time. This is a melon hat. Melon A-Game Hydro is what this one is. It's kind of the same deal. I'm buying the hat from Melon. I'm having it embroidered. And then these cost me a lot because melon hats are expensive. This blank is like $70. I love these hats. I think they're fantastic. I have a bunch of different colors of them. Generally, I wait until they go on sale. They'll go like 15% off and I'll buy like 1 or 2 occasionally. So over the course of the last 2 years, I have like 8 of them now in different colors. And anyway, I have like 2 shades of blue, a black, a white, a green. But I talked about this in the last video. They don't make like standard colors. It's like, this is like a baby blue kind of. And then they have like a Heather Ocean, which is like a green blue color. And anyway, so I can do these two. That again would be a one-off. I'd have to buy it from Melon, get it shipped to me, get it embroidered, send it to you. It'd be like $100. They're not cheap, but I wear them every day. I really do love their hats. I think they're great. A lot of the stuff that I have is for sale, and I'll work with you on deals. I want to produce content. I want to be making videos, and I need to move some of this product to make new product happen, because this channel, like my YouTube ad revenue is 150 bucks a month, and I spend all of that on ads in order to, like on Google ads in order to get more subscribers. So like realistically, there isn't an income revenue or an income stream around the channel. Most of this is just me doing this on my own. It's great when brands like Phoenix reach out to me and they're like, hey, one of everything, here you go. They sent me what they call the kitchen sink. That was the SKU. And it's like 265 bucks worth of stuff for free. So like shout out to Aaron at Phoenix EOD. Thank you. Ivan LaCroix at DIY Detail sent me a C6 C6 Hydro, APP, their Restore and Protect Trim Protectant, and a bunch of other products to try out. It's like $400 worth of stuff. Thank you. Like, I greatly appreciate you, and I couldn't do this without people helping me out like you. Last Fit, Ulix, Topton, Patrick at White Diamond, the guys over at Armor Detail Supply, all of these people have helped to support me, and I couldn't be more grateful. And and there have been others along the way. Like, I thank you. I have this monitor on Facebook Marketplace. This is a 35-inch ultrawide. This was one of my old ones from my desk in my office. I did a video on the... I really like that monitor. I listed these two on Facebook Marketplace after using it for a short time. People on Facebook Marketplace make me lose faith in humanity's future. I don't know how to describe it other than stupidity. I don't mean to offend. Not everybody is stupid, but like, I do a listing. I take a picture of two monitors sitting side by side, like they're laying on a bed. So I have two monitors next to each other. Two monoprice monitors, 35-inch. Here's the part number. Picture of both on the front, picture of the back of both. Description. I get a guy who immediately reaches out to me, hey, it's still for sale? Yep. Okay, can I buy it now? Yep. Comes over, buys it, leaves. Done. Easy. Awesome. Then the next person reaches out, do you still have this? I just sold one, I have one left. Which one? Well, they're both the same. So the one on the left. Like, and then he says, this is the price, 100. I said, yep, and I'm firm on that price because it's been listed for less than a day. Would you take 80? No, I am firm on that price. Facebook Marketplace is really annoying and frustrating. I did go through a whole bottle of Hero, though. Interesting. I have a gallon of that, so it'll last me forever. I'm still chasing leaks with my sprinkler system. Talked about some of those plumbing things that I was working on in previous videos. I just got a $220 water bill and walked around the house and fired up all the zones and found that I had one zone where there was a pipe that was kinked underground. So there's like these plastic, they're 0.7 of an inch OD, half-inch internal diameter, but they're like a black plastic flexible pipe. And they're stapled down underneath the ground along the edge of the property with like these little kind of weep things that drip on the plants. Well, I had a tree root grow under one of those right next to the staple and kind of like create this kink where it's like over the root and then down around the staple and then back up. And then I had right next to it a joint, a coupler that cracked because then the water couldn't come through. It was building too much pressure. So all that to say, turn the sprinklers on, it's shooting in the air. And you have your sprinklers go off first thing in the morning, like 5 a.m., like super early. And you do that because you don't want the water to like evaporate on top of the ground. You want it to actually have a chance to soak in. And anyway, my water bill should be like in the 130 to 150 range, not in the 220 range. Funny thing just happened. So this just showed up at my house. This is a Vivor air cushion machine. Which is something I've had on my Amazon wish list for a little while, which I do the eBay stuff. This is like a way to print bubble wrap, kind of. So you buy this roll of air cushion, which looks like this, and I honestly don't know how this where this came from. I'm thinking my parents sent it to me for Father's Day. I'll have to give them a call and see. But basically what you do is you take this. I should probably read the directions. So it comes with like a standard, like this is going to make bubbles like you would get from Amazon, like this style. But you can actually print like your own bubble wrap style bubbles. This is really neat. Okay, so I'm going to let this warm up. And, oh, cool. Check that out. How cool is that? And then I can tear this off like that. And I basically just printed my own bubbles. That's really neat. So wow. This is super cool. All right. Well, that was unexpected, but also very cool. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'll show you here. If you look at my computer screen, you can see this guy. So see how there's like these bubbles here? So I'm going to get a roll of that. I buy peanuts, and peanuts come in like, it's like a 2 foot by 2 foot by 5 foot bag of peanuts that's like as big as I am, and you have to store all this crap, right? And the only way that you can actually like make money is buying it in quantity. I end up kind of buying large quantities of peanuts and buying large quantities of bubble wrap in order to facilitate the eBay stuff and make it so my packing materials cost as little as possible, and therefore it's as affordable as possible for me to do business. And that's how I am able to test a lot of stuff and go through a lot of this stuff. You know, it's like I buy an amplifier, I test it out, I sell my old one, I sell the new, you know, something along those lines. And that helps me to kind of like continuously be using and moving through new products. Well, and then I also have people that bring me stuff that I sell for them, coworkers and other people that are in my life, and you know, I make a small amount of money on that. Well, storage is becoming a problem for me. So if I go and order bubble wrap, I get 2 giant rolls of bubble wrap. They're like this big around, and they might last me, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and I have to store them that entire time. And I buy a big box of peanuts, and they last me, you know, a year, and I have to store them for that time. So I mentioned just kind of an offhanded comment to my dad the other day that I was looking at this machine that kind of like prints bubble wrap, and I thought that something like that would be cool, and I was planning on buying one when I ran out of what I have now, the stuff. So I just received this today. Father's Day is next weekend. I'm guessing those two things are related. So that's when I buy bubble wrap, I normally buy it from Amazon. There's a place locally that I can get it to, but Amazon's actually cheaper, as strange as that sounds, even though they have to ship it to me. So when I buy bubble wrap from Amazon, I get 700 square feet for $47. It's 12 inches wide, 700 square feet. With this, for $42, I get 985 feet of length, and they're 16 inches wide, so it's 15, it's technically 15.8 divided by 12 times 985 is 1,300 square feet. That's $42. So it's an extra, it's almost double. But added benefit is this roll is a lot easier to store than, you know, a giant roll of bubble wrap. So this is really cool. Jessica and I went out to dinner. Every other Friday we tend to go out to dinner because Eva's at her dad's house. So we went to just a place near her work. So yeah, all summer long I end up having Eva here with me during the day while I'm working from home, and you know, it's fine, but it's just something that I have to accommodate during the summertime. So yeah, went to dinner, came home, kind of getting my bearings on what I'm going to do this weekend. I have to record some 5-Minute Fridays. I haven't done any 5-Minute Fridays in a minute. So the rest of the stuff, I just changed out a faucet in our bathroom. We ordered like a black Kohler faucet to replace the nickel. They're Deltas that were here when we moved in. They've been here since the house was built in 2010, so 14 years old. And we've got a couple of them that are starting to fail, that need like valve rebuilds and stuff like that. And they're nickel, and the whole rest of the bathroom is like the brushed bronze color, like the iron rubbed bronze or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but so they don't really fit anyway. So I'm just gonna slowly change them out with Kohler faucets that are black. And just because we found a Kohler that we liked, Kohler versus Delta, I don't really care one way or the other. They're both similar brands. So yeah, spent some time driving the Mini JCW today, the hardtop, the 2-door. I'm gonna do some eBay stuff tomorrow. I've got a haircut tomorrow. I think I'm gonna sell off some of my watches. Over the years, I've collected like 12 watches. They're all like reasonable. Citizen, Seiko, you know, like I think the most expensive thing that I have is I have a Tag Formula One. It's like a $900 watch. I have a Hamilton, it's like $700, and I have this Henry Archer, it's like $700 that I'm wearing. But I find that I wear like the same watches all the time. I have like 4 that I wear pretty continuously. So I'm probably just gonna get rid of the rest of them. Let those go to somebody who can actually use them. Because every time I pull them out, like all my Citizen Eco Drives are, you know, they're dead, and then I have to put them in the sun. And I have one that's like an automatic date that I have to like manually go through and recenter all the hands and stuff like that. It's kind of a pain in the butt every time I want to pull one of them out. So I'm just gonna simplify my life a little bit. I've got a bunch of other stuff that I'm gonna sell. I have an Emotiva amp. I have some network gear, a couple video cards, I don't know, just a bunch of random stuff. So I'm gonna try to blow through as much of that as I possibly can. If you're interested in testing stuff like diagnostic scan tools and some of those things, send me an email, jeff@improve-garage.com. There's a group on Facebook that I can add you to where they have things all the time. Most of them are, if they're like a $200-ish thing, they're free. So, you know, they'll have like small air compressors, that Autel OBD2 scan tool that I had, that I did a video on, this Maxi AP2500, this guy, a couple other things. So I can get you in the group if you have interest in it. And they have some bigger things from time to time, like the giant handheld full screen scan tools. Those are usually like 50% off. So you end up spending like $500 on a $1,000 unit or something along those lines. I've gotten a battery tester that I've shown on my videos before. It's a Topton as well. It's in this case. I got a handheld scan tool. It's this guy here. Their stuff works really well. That one there I had for 2 years. Works great. I honestly don't use scan tools all that often because I don't own a shop, but maybe you do and you could use one. Like, hit me up. I can get you in the group. It's not me that gives them away, it's somebody else, but they're always looking for new people to test because, you know, everybody you have to like leave a review using your Amazon account or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be a positive review, it just has to be a review. You know, everybody only has 1, maybe 2 Amazon accounts. I have 2, a personal and a work. The green Mini, I did the JB4 in it, and that's working great, but I do want to do my 0 to 60 and quarter mile. I want to retest those and see the updated times after the tune, see how those perform. Yeah, so tomorrow's Saturday the 15th. I've got a vlog that's going to come out tomorrow that'll be long, another long form, you know, one of these weekend vlogs. Sunday will be Coach Can Be Blue Part 2. I'm gonna record part 3 this weekend, so it'll be ready to come out next weekend. I have to record a bunch of 5-Minute Fridays. I haven't dumped a 5-Minute Friday in forever, so I have to start doing those again. I've got a couple other like little maintenance items that I need to do. My DI resin needs to be swapped out, at least my cation, or at least my anion does. So I go through a lot more anion than I do cation or mixed bed. So I've got to do that. I ordered the 2 new Liquid Elements polishers from OG. So those will be here on Tuesday, I think. So I want to get those tested as well and drop a video on those fairly quick. They only have like 50 left in stock. I think they got 150 in their first shipment. So at this point, the ability to get affiliate revenue around that is probably limited. But if they're as good as they say they are, I mean, I'm excited to do a video on them. I really am. And if the 1-inch is as good as they say it is, I might actually sell my Nano. I don't know. I don't dislike the Rupes Nano. I don't love it either. It's okay. It's a lot of money and it's a little underpowered. And if the new LE polisher is as good as that is, then I'll probably sell the Rupes, honestly. Which, if you're looking for a Rupes Nano long neck, hit me up. I'm always willing to do a deal on it. I sold a bunch of stuff on secondhand detailing, things that I had tested previously. So some of the DIY detail products, some of the Armor detail supply products, some of the, I had some old Chemical Guys stuff that I threw on there. Nothing wrong with any of the products. There wasn't really anything that I didn't like. I have too much stuff. And in order for me to continue testing new products, I need to go through some of the old stuff because I just don't have storage for it all. So, you know, I just got Fine Lab here. I actually have La Bromesca and Maniac coming as well. So then I'll have 6 complete lines here for testing. Renew, Monkey Head, Purist, Fine Lab, Labro, Maniac. It's a lot, considering that an average review is like 3 videos at best. So, you know, there's another like 18 to 20 videos. That's the next couple of months, assuming that I'm going to drop 1 a week. The Mercedes needs a B service. I might do that this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. My Micah, he has the GLC 300 that I did the coating on. I told him that I would tell him when I was going to do the service on this so that he can come by and hang out while I'm doing it, because he has, it's a GLC 300, same engine and drivetrain platform as this has, so it's going to be very similar for him to do the same service when he has to do it himself. But I have all the stuff there to do it. I'm about ready to do a service on the Mini too. It has like 59,000 on it. I'm planning on doing one at 60. That'll be plugs again. I usually swap out the air filter and the intake, and then an oil change and filter, and all of that, cabin air filter. So that'll be coming soon as well. And then soon I'm gonna have to do a service on the Green Mini, which seems crazy. The car only has 26 or 2,700 miles on it, but it's been a year, so it's time. So probably do that soon as well. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna go and work on some videos, and tomorrow I'll take you with me with some of the other things that I'm doing and put those on camera. And yeah. And if these are like so boring that you can't stand them, I'm really sorry. I mean, feel free to say something in the comments. But some people found the original ones interesting. They like the longer form videos. I think that what I'm gonna try to do is kind of mix the long and short. Do, a short video that's testing a jump pack, and then do a long video that's just me doing whatever I'm doing, and then do a short video where I'm, detailing a car. So something product focused or process focused or project oriented, and then something that's just more like all over the place like this will end up being. So anyway, I will see you tomorrow. Just did a rinseless wash. Still using Hero. I like Hero. I think it works really well. I've gone through an entire 16-ounce bottle of it, which is a lot for me to go through a product. Although I'm using like 2.5 ounces every time I do it because I'm mixing up a whole bucket. And I don't need to mix up a whole bucket. I could probably do a half bucket, use like 1.5 ounces. But as you can see, it's good. It's really good. The user experience is fantastic. The hydrophobics are great. This has CSL EXO on it. Yeah, it's just, it looks good. It's a good looking car. Got my tank filling up for tomorrow so that I can wash some cars here. Just filled up my buckets and stuff, so took a little bit out of them. So work on that. And then, like I said, I'm gonna change out this resin tomorrow. I've got some other stuff. I have to go to the hardware store. I have to get some more salt. Need some dirt and mulch for the yard. So we'll have some running around to do tomorrow. But I really like Hero. I like the Solo 260. I think I want to buy another one of those because I have a 260 and I have one of these, the 460 Li, and they both work fantastic. But Jessica uses one of these as a mister for when she's doing plants. So I think I'm going to give her this one so she has two, and I'm going to get myself another 260. Mostly because I actually only have one charge cable for some reason. I got them mixed up thinking that the Solo charge cables were the same charge cables that the Scan Grip lights used, because they actually have the same connector on them and they're both USB. So I think what happened was when I sold my Scan Grip multi-match and Sun Match, the little guy, I think that I might have given them my Solo chargers also, because I can't find them anywhere. So I have one that came with my 260, which is right here, and then we have 3 Solo sprayers in the house to charge with it. So yeah, anyway, a couple other things. I got a hard drive to RMA, Seagate predictive failure. So I'm going to send that out tomorrow. All the Fine Lab stuff I was talking about earlier. So play around with those. So today I'm driving the club bin, and it made me realize how long it's been since I've driven the club bin. Yeah, I guess I just haven't had a lot of opportunity to take it out recently. A little overly protective of it, I guess, because it's so clean. But I drove it the 3 or 4 miles from my house to the barbershop, and when I was shutting the car off, it said, "Hey, your battery's low. You should drive the car some." So I don't know if the JB4 maybe has a slight parasitic drain on the battery because it's directly connected to it. It might. It could just also be all the smart things that the car has, because like I can lock and unlock it via an app and, you know, things like that. So I'm guessing that it's a little of column A, a little of column B. So taking the long way home today and enjoying the drive. So this is kind of middle of nowhere Santa Maria. It's farmland. So we're gonna go up through Guadalupe and then back through Napomo and turn a 5-minute drive into a 30-minute drive. Stop at Starbucks and get Jessica coffee, and then we're gonna go home. I think we're gonna wash this because I haven't washed it in a while. And yeah, the tune is really good. It's definitely noticeable. Like if you're on power, sometimes when it shifts, you know, the ZF transmission that's in this shifts really hard. A lot of BMWs are that way. Like our 4 Series was that way too. It'll chirp the tires, and I mean it's a 4-wheel drive car, so I get little chirps here and there. It's kind of interesting. And Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, they're 235 wide, which is, I think the car came with 215s, maybe 225s. I can't remember now. But anyway, they're wider than stock, they're softer than stock, they're not run flats. So I'm in mode 1 right now, which is the most reserved mode. Just because in California we can't get 93. So we're gonna make a right turn here. Well, anyway, I'm gonna enjoy the drive back home without holding a camera, and I will see you